Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
This is Graham. Yes.
Good morning, Graham.
Morning.
About 9 o'clock, are you and your team ready to get started?
Yes, I think we've got everyone here.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. It's Tuesday, July 28, 2020. This is a public Zoom meeting, union negotiations between Pasco Hernando State College and United Faculty of Florida. It's 9 a.m. I'm Brian Koji, representing Pasco Hernando State College Administration Negotiation Team. Graham, I assume we'll do this session as we've done the past few, where you and I will primarily act as spokespersons and solicit any input from our respective teams that you feel necessary.
Sounds good.
You received, I hope, what I sent yesterday was the package that we're presenting this morning.
Yes, and I've shared that with our team.
Okay, I thought maybe the best thing to do would just be to walk through it and then open it up for any questions or comments that you and your team have. And if we need to take a caucus after that, you let us know. Let me see if I could share my screen here. Okay. Are you able to see?
Yep, we can see it.
All right. So, in a nutshell, what we've done is we've tried to respond to the proposal that the union presented at the last session by addressing all of the open items. And I'll just walk through in order here. So, what you're looking at now is just the cover letter, providing a summary of our positions. As to Article 3.1, which is the duration article, and Article 10.5, which is the compensation, that we are agreeable to the union's last proposal, the revision to our prior proposal. And just for those who may not have been at the last session, essentially that maintains status quo in terms of compensation, but allows not only for a reopener in years 2 and 3 of the contract, but also a reopener even during year 1 if circumstances were to change and the parties can ask to come back to the table and negotiate compensation and any other articles, depending on budgets and whatnot. So we are okay with that. And those kind of go hand in hand, I think, because Article 3.1, while it contains a 3-year duration, has the reopener language. I did suggest that you'll see in the note there that Article 10.5 on the compensation, I think we probably should update the language because we TA'd that, I guess, over a year ago or so, and it has some references to already past academic years. I'm not sure that matters a whole lot, but might just clean it up for a final document if we get there. Article 6, really to the extent that the parties remain apart, it's these next two, I think. Article 6 on discipline and Article 8 on evaluations. We've had some discussions on our side. As you know, we also have met with the Board of Trustees to try and gather their thinking as well. We covered these two articles, and the administration's proposal is to reject the last proposal of the union and to reiterate Article 6 and Article 8 that we had previously done on discipline and evaluation. On evaluation, I think it's a little, Article 6 is, as you might imagine, a more philosophical difference. And we did share with the board the union's view last time that this was an impasse item from the union's perspective. And while we, of course, want to avoid impasse, I think we have to advise the union that we feel the same on our side. So we're still looking at ways to try and bridge the gap, but I don't know if that, frankly, is possible with some of the philosophical differences. On Article 8, the evaluation language, I think that is less philosophical, more of some of the language like the form and whatnot. Not that we're necessarily opposed to it, but at this stage in the game, it's premature. We have recently revised the form using committees, which some of the union members were on a couple of years ago, and we're looking at over the next year or so transitioning to the ERP system, which is going in phases, as you probably know, which is going to impact how that form is used. So we're hesitant to make any changes to that at the moment, recognizing that this may be something in the next year is one of the reopener articles that we hammer out differences. So for this academic year, we want to keep essentially what we have. What we did, to the extent there's any kind of philosophical differences on the evaluation, the administration does not agree with the proposal to provide advanced notice for the classroom observation. I think we categorically don't like that idea. Certainly, we expect supervisors and full-time faculty to work together in terms of making sure that we avoid having observations when there's nothing going on or testing. But we also don't think we necessarily should provide that kind of advanced notice when we're doing evaluations. Moving on, a couple of, I think, the easier things where we're able to either agree or we've presented some proposals, which is some slight modifications, are the Article 9, particularly 9.1, 9.6, 9.7, 9.11. So on 9.1, what we've done is we presented a counter proposal. Let me pull that up here because it's just, I think, minor. All we did on 9.1 is we accepted the last version that the union presented at the last session, but we struck the word credit out of, we had the equivalent of 15 credit hours per week spent in course instruction. And we still have this issue where that doesn't quite fit all the time when we talk credit hours. Sometimes it's contact, sometimes it's credit. And the thought there was, let's just strike and leave it at 15 hours, equivalent of 15 hours per week. We think that would cover all situations enough that everybody knows what we're talking about. So that's the only suggested change on 9.1. We're hoping to be able to tentatively agree to that. 9.2, we hadn't made a proposal 9.2 on course scheduling in the past. So that one that you'll see in your packet is a more extensive proposal. I think it's really the last one in the Article 9 grouping that we had to address. And what we did, you'll see, it looks like a lot of changes, but what we've tried to do is really codify existing practice, use some of the language from the union's proposal, but also integrate into that the existing IMM, which I think is 3-33, maybe 5-33. We can get that to you if you need. 9.6, we were okay with the union's proposal at the last session, so we're willing to tentatively agree on that today. 9.7, and as with 9.1, we have a counter proposal, but we think it's relatively minor, not too controversial. I think we just what we did was we added a section or language to the last section that basically made it clear that if when assigning the overload, if you have a full-time faculty member that can't make load, and there are no other adjunct courses that we can take from the adjunct, that you can take an overload from full-time faculty to make sure that a co-faculty member can make load. So that's the only change. That 9.11 per your prior communications, I think we're all on board with TA in that, the last proposal on that one. We continue to reject, at least at the time being, the parental leave article. It's not, obviously there's a little bit of a price tag too, but that's also something that the college wants to look at and study for future. I think a lot of places are starting to consider that, and some of them are providing some paid parental leave. So it's the kind of benefit that we're not comfortable doing right now, but certainly we're agreeable to continue to consider that down the road. And then lastly, we did present a new management rights provision. So as you know, we had a management rights article at the very outset of, negotiations that my recollection is the union's response to that was some of the stuff really wasn't applicable, it was too general, and some of it might have had some waivers of things that you didn't want to do. And we did see the management rights proposal from the union a couple of sessions ago. And as I think I mentioned at the time, we did like some of the language in your proposal, but we also wanted to keep some of the specific big picture type management rights, quintessential management rights, as I think of them specifically in there. So the article that we're presenting today, it tries to meld those two together and take out some of the stuff from the initial article that was more of a bargainable topic and might be considered waiver, keeping things that are, that we think are quintessential management rights, you know, deciding the types of programs you're going to offer, that kind of thing. So that's basically the thinking and reasoning behind the current management rights. And we did take the section from your prior proposal and move it over into this. So that's our proposal. If you want to go through any of them in particular, Graham, or you guys have any questions, I'm happy to do that.
I do have a question. I was taking some notes. Maybe you went over it very quickly and I just missed it. But on 10.6, the payroll practices, we had an original proposal that we gave you that was pretty boilerplate. You know, there will be so many pay periods, and this is how payroll works, basically. You know, standard kind of stuff. And then we submitted a modified proposal that had an addition that had basically sort of a default provision for how this issue of 27 pay periods would be handled next time it comes up in the 2030s. In your cover sheet, you said that you rejected the 10.6 proposal. I was wondering if you were saying you were just rejecting that addition that came later, or the whole thing. So I think our view is it's normal and important to have provisions about, you know, how the payroll calendar works in the contract. So I just wanted some clarity on the college's position on that issue.
Yeah, and there was some confusion on my end as to what the latest proposal was, and I'm not sure if you have the date of that, or the thought on the pay period issue was that it's premature at this point. We were not necessarily looking to enact that because, you know, the ERP system and whatnot coming online here in the near future, we want to see what the capability is. So it's easy to say, okay, we agree to do this number of pay periods or whatnot in theory, but with the application here, we're not sure just what we would be agreeing to in terms of how we can make it happen logistically. And we probably know that within the next year or so. But given that it unfortunately came up today, but the good news about that is not set to come up again for some period of time. We thought that was something we could handle in the next, whether it be reopener or even the next contract 3 years from now, and we would know what the system was capable of doing. So we were uncomfortable with that, with the most recent version, I think, but I wasn't necessarily sure where the other version was, or what language then would be important in terms of some of the generic payroll practice language. I don't know if that's something you can email to us and we can caucus on today. I don't know that we necessarily are opposed to. My recollection of the original 10.6 had some general payroll practice stuff that's probably not very controversial, but we couldn't quite figure out which was the last proposal and whatnot. So
Yeah, I'll email that to you now. The document I'm going to email to you is one we presented on June 9th, and it has the original proposal from, I'm pretty sure it was our very first proposal, and then the tracked red changes that you'll see are the new additions that we made on June 9th. So I think our question was whether it was just that red language that was being rejected or the whole thing, or if there's modifications to the more generic stuff, I think obviously we're happy to entertain those, but just wanted to make sure that we understood clearly what the college's position was on that issue. But I just shot that over to you, so you should receive it in a moment.
Okay, yeah, I have it. So what I think we'll need to do on that is to, when we caucus, we'll go through and let you know, hopefully today, what we can agree to and what maybe we wouldn't want to agree to.
Okay. I think that was the only question I had right now. I think some of these will be easy discussions with the team, some maybe a little more difficult. Does anyone on the UFF bargaining team have any questions about what Brian just presented? Okay, hearing none, I think we can go ahead and take a caucus. I sent a Zoom link for a caucus to my team, so we'll head over there.
Wait, hey, Graham,
Yes.
we have quite a few faculty here, so could you just put in the chat the Zoom link and then everybody give everybody a chance to copy it? Because I don't think I'll be able to email everybody the Zoom link.
Sure, just a second.
The caucus Zoom link in the
Yeah.
chat.
Oh, one other thing, not related to what we've been talking about today, but we have had a few questions from various nursing faculty who have been informed that, for any number of reasons that they will need to be picking up an extra course or an extra section of some kind. And I assume the answer is yes, but they weren't sure, so we just wanted to get clarity. Are those faculty who are being asked to pick up those extra courses going to be paid for them as they would a typical overload? And if not, what is being done instead? So maybe something for you to think about for a minute while you're in caucus, but just wanted to put that on the table for clarification.
Yeah, we'll talk about that during our caucus and then have a response for you when we come back. We'll raise that issue. It's almost 9:20 at this point. What do you think in terms of length of caucus that you need?
Let's say 10 tentatively. We'll at least check in at 10.
10 o'clock? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do that. And for those on the administration team, you should have from the link to the conference call number circulated by Pam earlier on the calendar invite. You want to log on to the conference call number now, and we'll come back at 10 a.m.
And faculty, if you get stuck, you can also email me. So faculty, if you're struggling, just email me.
All right, thanks. See you at
Good.
10.